All right, look out for Charlie here. Somebody asked me the question, how did you first put together the connection between the fungal infection, the fungus, and RF targeting and electronic harassment? And the answer to that is pretty simple and complex at the same time. I'm pretty aware of what's going on around me, and I'm pretty self-aware of what's going on with my body. And what first started happening was when I would fall asleep at night, I kept feeling pinpricks and almost like something crawling on my palms in my sleep when I was drifting off to sleep or while I was sleeping, and sometimes it would wake me up. It almost felt like there were spiders on my palms. And after that, I would work out in the garage, and I'd be getting all greasy, building stuff or, doing whatever. And normally I would come in and I'd put like Fast Orange or whatever on my hands and I'd clean up and it would come off. And that was it. But I started noticing that when I would work out in the garage and get dirty, it would not wash off. And I would scrub and scrub and scrub. And it was like whatever was on my skin, it felt like it was being stained. It didn't just happen on my hands. It was even happening in the house, like the countertops. Like where you left like a pot for a day would seem to stain in a ring. And that was really hard to scrub up. The bathtub would do the same thing. So whatever was in my environment and on my body was staining my skin. Like when I would get grease or whatever on it, just would not come off. And I noticed that. After that, I started to get cramps in my hands and in my feet before this took off and got crazy. So, and then skin issues started to, like not just my hands, but my face would break out, or I would have like dry skin on my face that got worse. And I had that for actually quite a few years before the hands. It's almost like it was on my face and on my head. And then after it moved to the rest of my body, that's when shit got crazy. It's almost like that. I can't say that 100% for sure, but that's the way it appears to me. I wanted to talk about what this mimics, and it mimics a lot of things. And this is just a small list. There are many things that this does. It causes like artificial heart palpitations and real heart palpitations. But the artificial ones, it's your diaphragm having spasms that feels like it's your heart. I was having those really bad, and it felt like my heart was like jumping around and skipping beats. But then when I took my pulse and checked my heart, eventually I realized that it wasn't my heart at all. It was my diaphragm jumping up and down and doing really crazy stuff, and my stomach. This can mimic arthritis. It causes joint pain. It can mimic tendinitis because the sheaths around your tendons swell up because of this. You can have roaring or static in your ear. It mimics ear infections. It mimics eye infections. It can cause brain pain or like the feeling that the brain is shaking or vibrating. It causes pressure in your ears, sinus problems. It mimics sinus infections, dental issues, floaters in your eyes, seeing lights or spots. It causes eye pain, cramps, as I mentioned, in your hands, in your feet, and anywhere else. Skin problems, skin issues, sores, rashes, swelling. And the swelling can actually sometimes look like a seafood allergy. Carpal tunnel, brittle or wavy nails, hair loss on the head or on the body, back pain, lower back pain, neck pain, burning sensations, vibrating sensations, a glue-like substance in your throat that you keep hacking up, seeing shadows or other anomalies in your vision. The bottom of your feet can burn or feel like a chemical burn. Your skin, the rest of your skin can burn or feel like a chemical burn. Pink eye symptoms, burning eyes, your ears can itch. You can have creepy crawly sensations in your ears or on your skin. something tickling inside your ear canal, your ears quit making wax, your hair follicles get infected, not just your skin, and your hairs can turn white or clear. But when they turn clear, they look white, unless you put it under a microscope and then you see that it's clear. So this can mimic many, many things and many ailments that people have. So when you go to the doctor, what I'm getting at is you can be diagnosed with something that has nothing to do with what you actually have. Like fibromyalgia, Lyme, Morgellons. It's all related to the same thing. Not to mention you could be diagnosed with arthritis, with back issues. You could actually end up getting back surgery and not needing it. You could be diagnosed with heart issues, palpitations or arrhythmias that you don't really have. These symptoms that I just went through are the symptoms just from the infection itself. It has nothing to do with the RF targeting. These are just the symptoms from the fungal infection. All right? So, the targeting, the radio frequency targeting and the ELF targeting is completely another can of worms. Another thing is you don't have to have all of these. You could have one or two, or you could have 20 of them or 30 of them. You don't have to have all of them. So, don't think of it like that, like, oh, well, I've only got 2 of those, so I don't have it. Many, many people have this and have no idea that they really do. Another symptom that I see more in public than I do with people or hear about people having on a daily basis is the backs of their arms are rashed out. Look around in the summertime when it's warm out, and you see this on people a lot. The backs of their arms are rashed out, and the pores and hair follicles are really big on the backs of their arms, and their lower legs, from their knees down to about their ankles, look like sunburned or microwaved hot dog. The skin looks really fucked up down there. And those are probably the average people that have it, that think they just have some kind of skin issue, and they don't. They have this. So take a look when it gets warm out. It's there. I was actually taking photos of it and documenting it, as stealthily as I could. Another question somebody asked was, how do you think they got my Brainwave fingerprint? I disagree with many of the people out there, and I don't think they need a Brainwave fingerprint. And here's why. One word: entrainment. When you have a group of people, let's say a neighborhood or a city, and you have pulses, I think they all become entrained to the same pulses, right? And then this becomes much, much easier than people think. Much easier. When everything's entrained to the same pulse, or the same note, if you will, then this becomes a much easier project. I think we give the powers that be, the people that are doing this, way too much credit. If everybody's entrained, this becomes an easy project. And to explain that entrainment, let me tell you a story. Back when I had a large practice space and used to have lots of parties and shit going on, there was a lot of amplifiers and drum kits and all different things at my disposal, instruments. At any given time, I had, 10, 15 amps and 20 guitars sitting around, drum kits, whatever. What I would do is I would experiment with these sounds, and I would turn on all these amps. I would plug in, 10, 15 amps, plug in basses, guitars, all these different instruments, and I would sit them on stands so they were just free, turned up, but not hit any notes. Then what I would do is I would plug in a synthesizer, and I would play a D note through a bass amp really loud, and it would start to rattle everything, and then pretty soon you could feel, the bar in the basement would start to vibrate to the same vibrations, and then pretty soon the instruments would start to vibrate in that note. And then pretty soon it sounded like a one-man band, because all these instruments were all vibrating to the same note, droning. And then what I would do is I would get behind the drum kit and play drums to these drone notes that were going on, and there was nobody playing. I would just play along with it. And that is entrainment. I had all those instruments in the house, if you will, too. entrained to one note, and it was all vibrating to the same note, loudly. And that's what's going on with this, I believe, is everything is entrained to a predetermined, pre-chosen note. So that's what's up. I don't think they need your brainwave fingerprint. So yeah, I think this is what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start taking questions and answering them to the best of my ability, and then putting it up as a video, because it actually helps people rather than just answering them via email and then forgetting about it. Another thing is I can go more in depth than I could if I was to just type out an answer. So, all right, look out for Charlie.